When you think about business loans and with EIN option possible, Capital One is an interesting player. We have been researching this lender, for the last 10 to 15 years, and we're always amazed at what they are able to do, what they are able to deploy. So let me give you an overview. I want to talk to you about Capital One business loans in today's conversation, and those loans are available for all kinds of businesses. Whether you are a startup or you are an established business, you can still qualify for a Capital One business loan. Let me give you an overview. So the whole thing is, when we talk about Capital One, first of all, I want you to think about three things. Three things that, in our view, will actually characterize Capital One. Number one, the bank is geo-restricted. And this is sort of unfortunate because it's a big bank, it's a great bank. However, they are geo-restricted, so they are only present in a few states. Matter of fact, they are present in Connecticut, Delaware, Louisiana, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Texas, Virginia, and the District of Columbia. The thing is, they have chosen, and so we believe that they have chosen intentionally not to be present nationally. Okay, but they could have been. But so first thing is geo restriction. The second thing is they are very generous. So their loan amounts, you will see later on when I talk to you about their loan amounts, very wonderful. They are very generous. Okay, they'll grant you $500,000 just like that. Okay, and the third thing we love about Capital One is that they have a banking side. So they're really a bank too. Okay, so they allow you to actually build up a relationship with them. So when you think about all of these things, Capital One is a great player to consider for business loans and business credit cards and individual credit cards for that matter. If you are in a location, in a geography that they cover, okay, and obviously the bank has their pros and cons. I'll talk about their pros and cons later on, but I just want to give you an overview about the institution. One thing you need to understand here is that Capital One is well funded. It is a strong bank. It is not a national bank. It is not a regional bank. They are what we call a third tier bank, sort of similar to TD Bank, similar to Discover Bank, but so they're not a regional bank such as the PNC, US Bank. They're not a big bank such as Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, Citi. No. So they are in the third tier in our view. Now, let me talk to you about the pros and cons of Capital One and how you can actually use this lender to your advantage if you're looking for a business loan, whether or not you are a startup or established business. So here are the pros. By the way, before I speak to you about the pros, welcome back to the show. If you just join us, it's really a pleasure to have you. Every time you just we have new viewers, it's just fantastic. Okay, so here are the pros. There is a quick funding process for simple loans, simple business loans. Capital One has competitive terms. What we love is that we have a variety of loans available for businesses, okay, from SBA loans to owner-occupied commercial real estate loans to traditional business loans to business lines of credit. Everything is possible with Capital One. They do equipment financing also, okay, in certain geographies. And so Capital One has high customer satisfaction ratings. This is something that hasn't changed. I mean, Capital One has always been there in terms of customer service. They just have great customer service. Fantastic. Okay. And so they also have in terms another benefits I want to mention here is they have a rebate for qualified owner-occupied real estate commercial loans. So you do have this sort of something to really think about. Here are the cons. In most cases, you must apply in person, so which is a little complicated already because the bank is already geo restricted. Now if you have to go to, so in other words, they don't have a lot of branches. Now if you have to go to a branch to apply, this could be a little problematic, but hey, it is what it is. The bank is very generous in terms of the loan amount, so maybe they just want to see you, like they want to see you, maybe touch you to see that you're not a robot applying for a loan. Okay, so. And so another detriment that we have seen here is that Capital One is only available in 8 states that I just listed for you, and the District of Columbia, of course. They have a limited, so there's very little information available online about Capital One business loans. The only reason why we have this info is because we do have business clients who have dealt and are still dealing with Capital One as their lender. Okay, so we have all the information. Okay, and Capital One most of the time wants you to be in business for at least 1 or 2 years before you apply. It's because they want to have this sort of operational solidity in place before they start lending to you. Okay, and branch locations are sparse and mostly on the East Coast, as you have seen. Okay, New Jersey, Connecticut. We have New York. Okay, Washington D.C. So yeah. Let me talk to you now about the target audience. Okay, this is important. This is an important element. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about Capital One business loans. I'm just spilling all the beans you need to have about this wonderful lender. Okay, and so the thing here is that, in our view, Capital One is great for borrowers who have established businesses. So if you have been in business for a while and you just let's say you want to expand your operations, and you really have, and you have a fair credit at a minimum, you would love Capital One. And because their business loans are generous, they can go all the way to 1 million. In some cases, we have seen transactions where Capital One was actually able to approve $5 million in a single transaction. It happens. So even though they're really they keep mum about their criteria online, they're very generous as long as you meet their requirements. Okay, and so Capital One, if you love an in-person loan experience, like you want to talk to a rep first, which we love, which we would advise anybody to go through anyway. So like before getting a loan, a business loan for that matter, whether at Capital One or elsewhere, make sure that you speak to someone. Have a conversation with a live representative. Ask questions. You always want to ask questions. Okay, this will help you a lot. And if you are purchasing an office, warehouse, or other owner-occupied property, for example, Capital One can help you out. They will help you out with the real estate transaction. They do love those transactions because of the collateralized aspect of it. Okay, so the risk is really low. So this is really important. And one thing, if you are a small business owner on the East and Gulf Coast, you will love that. Because remember, you'll need to apply in person at a Capital One branch, so which is only available in the District of Columbia and the state that I just gave you. Okay. If you are a small business owner, you are looking for a holistic banking solution, Capital One also will be a great opportunity for you, because they do offer, as I said before, on the banking side, they have a full suite of solutions. Okay. We just not long ago we came out with a video about Capital One checking account, business checking accounts, where we explain everything, the importance of having a relationship with Capital One. Okay, and especially if you are thinking about this over the long run, it's always great to have that. Let me talk to you about the loan typology. So when we talk about Capital One business loans, we need to clarify what are we talking about really. And it's important to understand that Capital One offers the following types of small business loans. So they do offer commercial real estate loans. They have business lines of credit, business term loans, equipment loans, commercial auto loans, construction loans, and SBA loans. And it's important to remember that everything starts with you trying to start a conversation and try a relationship with Capital One. Okay, and don't try to apply for a loan with Capital One if you don't have a strong relationship with them or you don't have a high FICO score. It has to be either or. Okay, in some cases, if you're lucky and you have both, that's even better. And the thing is that when we talk about commercial real estate loans, for example, the preferred loan option, it's all about what? It's all about collateral. But the great thing is that throughout the process, the customer service at Capital One is just fantastic. Really, really great. Okay, so the loan typology that I'm talking about here, you have commercial real estate loans, business lines of credit, business term loans, equipment loans, commercial auto loans, construction loans, and SBA loans. So think about the one that really suits your specific needs right now, your specific wants right now. And by the way, my question to you, an ancillary question that I have for you is, do you have an existing relationship with Capital One? Because you can actually watch all this show about Capital One business loans, but if you don't have a relationship with them, you will not be able to parlay that relationship into something bigger. Okay, it's either you have a relationship with them or you have a high FICO score. If you have high FICO score, then it's okay. If not, it will be a little complicated. Let me talk to you about the loan features. So it's important to have a clear idea about the loan features that you're actually, let's say, pursuing, right? So for a business term loan, the minimum is $10,000 all the way to $5 million. So $10,000 to $5 million. This is really good. And so the APR really depends on the business's qualification. Okay, there is an origination fee that varies by loan size. Very important to know. And so you have so this is what it is, and the terms up to 5 years for unsecured term loans. So business term loan, $10,000 to $5 million. Then you have a business line of credit from Capital One, and here the delta is still the same. The range rather, we have a $10,000 to $5 million. Okay, and there's an annual fee. That's 0.25% of the line amount. This is important to know. And you also have equipment financing, $10,000 to $5 million. If you remember, I was just telling you, Capital One is very generous, and they have proven it here too, that they're very generous. So equipment financing, $10,000 to $5 million. This is really good. And so you have, in terms of the terms, you have up to 10 years determined by the equipment's estimated useful life. So everything starts with the equipment useful life. Then you have a commercial real estate loan. Here you have so the ranges here is pretty large. You have $250,000 to in some cases $10 million. So this is really good. And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about Capital One business loan features, it really depends again on the geography too, though, because some of those amounts, they do change based on your geography. Okay, so in addition to those I would say private business loans, you also have government backed loans. For example, the SBA loans, you have SBA 7A loans where you can get a loan amount up to $5 million. And then you have the SBA 504 loan where you can get a loan amount up to the same $5 million. There are some differences, but the thing here is that you have to think about what really matters for you. What are you trying to accomplish here? Okay, and one thing I want to say here also is that if you were to go with the SBA route, then you have a different set of preparation. Okay, and so yeah, it is what it is. Let me give you our verdict. I mean, after analyzing Capital One business loans, for us it's really important to guide viewers to choose the best. We always want to strive for the best, and why should you choose Capital One? Now, the thing is that Capital One has a quick funding process for simple loans. So when we talk about a simple loan, what do we mean? Well, let's say you are looking for $10,000 or you're looking for $25,000. Capital One will provide you with that loan amount in, as I would say, as short a time frame as possible. Especially, which is really great, especially if they have prior data about your business, about you being a customer. Things will go even faster. What do I mean by that? If you have direct deposit, for example, if you have direct deposit, then you're showing American Express that you can indeed work out their so Capital One will work with you to make sure that you have the funds. You have a variety of loans that are available, business loans. You have rebates for qualifying real estate loans. So this is where Capital One will actually work with you. Okay, they're very generous in terms of in terms of their loan amounts, but just make sure that you're comfortable about applying in person. You're not going to apply online. You can't do that. I mean, if you are the type of person who loves the flexibility of online application, then forget about Capital One. And so if you also want to have all kinds of information about a business loan before you apply, then forget about Capital One, because they don't have a lot. They don't have lots of info. Okay, and so Capital One. But the thing is, they are very see. Once you go to a branch, once you go to their cafe, they'll take care of you. They'll have all the staff there. They'll talk to you. They'll give you options, but you got to go there. See, the whole thing is that Capital One is positioning itself as an online bank for credit cards, as an online bank for checking accounts and savings account. But when it comes to loans, they want you to show up. They want to see you. They want to judge you. They want to see whatever. But yeah, this is how they're doing they're doing the thing. And now you might be saying, well, this is not very convenient. Well, it's not convenient, but you are the one who needs the cash. So you're the one who needs to actually to go to a branch and have a conversation with a live person, so they can ask you all the questions they need, which is great. Also, just make sure that you are prepared, that you have done your homework, okay? That you have your business plan, that you have your business plan, that you also have your financial statements, your actual data, so you can give some kind of perspective to the rep that you speak to. So this will help you a lot in the future. Now let's talk about the loan application. Okay, let's talk about the loan application. This is an important element we need to think about. So I think I already spoke a little bit about that. So if you want to apply for a Capital One business loan and you want to get the loan real quick, do me a favor. Apply in person. You want to appear in person, and you want to have at a minimum your business plan with you, at a minimum. Okay, I'm not asking you to have anything complicated or anything sophisticated. If you can't write it yourself, please outsource the whole thing. Okay, so you have business plan. Think about your business name, address, and phone number, because you need to have a legit business, which means you got to show your business name, address, and phone number, and the date your business was established, the ownership tab and tax identification number. Those are important. Your business tax returns. Okay, so this is something that Capital One will actually ask for. You need to have your bank and financial statements. So here we're speaking about your balance sheet, your statement of cash flows, your statement of owner's equity, and also your P&L, right? So your profit and loss statement. So also think about details on equipment or property for real estate and equipment loans, just in case you want to go for an equipment loans. This is something you need to think about. And you also need to provide information about yourself. So here we're speaking about your name, your home address, and your phone number. Okay, and in some cases they will ask for your social security number and date of birth. Remember, they don't be scared. They're not going to do anything with the whole thing. And they might ask you for your personal tax returns, depending on the type of loan and the amount that you seek. And so yeah, so overall, this is a great opportunity. It's a great tool. This is a great tool that Capital One has in place to be able to track and to be able to track borrowers and know exactly what people are searching for. Before I close to this conversation, let me just say one thing, okay? And that thing is that, before I even talked about alternatives, let me just say that you need to be in a situation where you are constantly up in your game, okay? So when we talk about loan application, you have to be in a situation where you're constantly up in your game and make sure that you are indeed having the right documentation, okay? Before I close to this conversation, I just want to talk to you about the alternatives. The thing is, we have a list of alternatives, but I just want to share with you two. And so Capital One, as I said before, is a big institution, relatively big. Okay, they're mostly available online. So if you are not in their geography, you can't get a business loan. If you're outside of their geography, you can apply for for a regular loan and be approved. Okay, if it's available in your state. But for business loan, they don't do that. They really don't do that. And the thing is this: I want to share with you two alternatives. So we have Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo is really a solid bet if you are looking for a let's say a traditional business loan from a traditional large national bank. Okay, and so Wells Fargo is constantly trying to up the game to be able to be more agile. But one thing I also want to say here is that Wells Fargo has pretty great reviews, and they did have a couple of problems in the last few years, but nowadays they're doing really good. They have revamped their customer service. They have increased their loan amount, so this is really great. And yeah, I want to also share with you OnDeck. So OnDeck is another player, is another lender. So in addition to Wells Fargo, we also have OnDeck, and OnDeck does a lot of good things. There are great alternatives when it comes to when it comes to choosing a business loan. And one thing we love about OnDeck is that it is an online platform. It is an online lender, so you don't have to go to a branch. You don't need to go to a branch. You can just be home and just have a conversation with the rep there and ask questions that will help your business get the top of loan amounts. Okay. And one thing I also want to say here is that when it comes to Capital One versus OnDeck is more stringent. OnDeck, they will give you a maximum of $250,000, whereas you have other players such as Wells Fargo and Capital One that are offering you close to $1 million. So you really have to think about what really matters to you here. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about Capital One business loans, and I gave you an overview. We spoke about the pros and cons. I spoke about the target audience, the loan typology, the loan features, our verdict, and the loan application, as well as some alternatives to consider. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.